From 1986 to 1991, there were 10 rape and murder cases in the Hwaseong area, commonly known as the Hwaseong serial killing case. The biggest cold case in Korea's crime history, which was portrayed in the 2003 movie Memories of a Murder by director Bong Joon Ho, is about to be closed. Through a DNA test, an inmate serving life imprisonment was identified as the suspect. He is now in prison for raping and killing his sister-in-law back in 1994. Considering the accuracy of the method of DNA analysis, at least scientifically, Korea's worst serial killer, who was believed to be on the loose, has been caught. In a month's time since identification, he confessed to all of his crimes, including 5 unsolved murders. As the suspect was identified thanks to recent technological advancements, now the public hopes that other unsolved cases can be resolved, most notably the 1991's mass murder of 5 elementary school students who were missing and found dead in Daegu. People say that crime doesn't pay, and there's no such thing as a perfect crime. The Hwaseong case seems to reiterate the simple fact. Now, many Koreans hope that justice is served and closure is provided for the victim's family. The accused was not caught because the forensics were not as advanced 30 years ago. So I said the accused. When we talk about someone who is a suspect, we can also use the word accused. So the accused means the person involved in the case. And then I said was not caught because of forensics. So we talk about forensics. Forensics is the way that the police and law enforcement gather evidence and then also analyze the evidence. So they'll look at how blood splatters, they'll look at hair, they'll look at other things at the crime scene, and then they'll analyze it, and then they'll build a case to try to find a suspect. So any sort of analysis of a crime scene we also call forensics. The improvement of scientific analysis of evidence was the key factor in finding the perpetrator. Previously, the technology of forensics was in its infancy and could not identify suspects. So I said it was key in finding the perpetrator. The perpetrator is a person who commits the crime. So if, for example, the cell phone goes missing in your office, who is the perpetrator? That means who did the crime. We also shorten it and call it the perp, or a perp means a criminal. So, there are many perps as suspects, or there are many perps in jail. So we shorten perpetrator to perp. And then I also said, a long time ago, forensics was in its infancy. We've talked about this word in other podcasts, but infancy means in the beginning, not fully developed yet, like an infant. Lee Chun-jae cannot be prosecuted for the murders due to the statute of limitations, but the court should provide some kind of closure of those affected by the murders. So we talked about the statute of limitations. That is the time limit on a crime, or a time limit where you cannot prosecute another type of crime. So for example, in the United States, there's no statute of limitations for murder. If you murder somebody, there is no set time. However, in Korea, it was 15 years. Now it's 25. Another example is, for example, if you want to sue somebody for medical malpractice, a doctor does something wrong with you, the statute of limitations is 2 years. But if you can sue within that time, but if you wait 2 years and 1 day, you cannot. And then I said that the court should provide some kind of closure to those affected by the murders. So closure means the end of something. So in this case, if the families understand that this guy killed one of their family members and he's brought to justice, and the courts, they identify that he did it, it would give the family like an ending, a kind of a feeling that, this process is over. We don't have to use it just for crime. For example, if you're dating a guy or a girl and you think things are going really well, and then one day your boyfriend and girlfriend, they just stop texting you, they stop contacting you, and they break up. But they don't give a reason. So if you want that reason, you want some closure. Why did this person break up with me, or why don't they like me? So closure can just be kind of the end of a process. The murders exceeded Korea's statute of limitation, which was 15 years. The crimes cannot be prosecuted, and the families will never get justice for their loss. So finally, I said they'll never get justice for their loss. So to get justice, or, to see justice, the process go through means, if someone commits a crime against you, you want them to be punished. You want some kind of justice. So in this case, if it's past the statute of limitations, he'll never get prosecuted. The families, even though he's serving a life sentence, the families might want him to get some sort of extra punishment. And if he gets that, the families will have a feeling of justice and a feeling that like their closure and the end of this process. But in this case, there is no way he can be punished more because of the statute of limitation rule. This case reignited the debate for capital punishment for the most heinous crimes. So I said this case reignited the debate. So a few months ago, we had a podcast where we talked about the death penalty in Korea, and that there is death penalty here, but it's not practiced. So that was the initial ignition of the debate. So to ignite something means to set something on fire or give kind of power to it, but to reignite means it happens again. So it was kind of a controversial debate. It was very hot. So we use ignite or reignite when something causes maybe controversy, but we can also use it when we're starting a fire. So you ignite the fire. If it goes out, you can reignite it. And then I said the debate for capital punishment. Capital punishment is another way of just saying the death penalty. And then I said, for the most heinous crimes, heinous is like the worst, the really bad ones. For example, like rape and murder. Those are what we call heinous crimes, or the violent crimes. So when we talk about heinous, it means something that's really, really bad. And then also when we talk about capital punishment, sometimes people get it confused with corporal punishment. So corporal punishment is a little bit different. That is when either it's someone who is physically punished. So if a teacher hit you in school, corporal punishment. If your parents hit you when you're bad, that's also corporal punishment. But for example, like in Singapore, if you do something bad there, they'll beat you with a cane. That's still corporal punishment. Capital punishment means death. Corporal is more of beatings and hittings. The controversial topic of the death penalty for criminals who commit violent crimes has popped up again in Korean society. So again, popped up again. It kind of sprung up. It happened suddenly. So we were talking about it months ago, then we stopped talking about it. Now this case came out, it popped up again. So kind of sprang up surprisingly. There is anticipation that DNA analysis will close other cold murder cases. So when we talked about cold murder cases or cold cases, it means like an unsolved case. So if there are suspects and the police are going to arrest someone, the case is hot. But then if things get warm, they kind of cool down. But a cold case means there are no leads and no way to solve it. It stays open. So we say open case, unsolved case, or cold case. There is optimism that the other unsolved cases can be cracked with law enforcement's use of DNA evidence. So to crack a case means you found some clue or evidence that will allow you to solve the case. Also, if you're trying to break into a safe in the movies, they say crack the safe. So you found the combination. Or, if you're trying to, find a code and you try different passwords and you get it, you cracked it. You crack the code, crack the password. So it kind of means to solve a problem that's difficult to be solved. So crack a case, crack a code. Thanks, guys, and thanks for downloading. You can follow me at MATTSSAM on Instagram and reach out personally to my email for Pangea Korea. Thanks for downloading, and talk to you later. Bye-bye.